Hey guys, it's Victoria and welcome back to FemmeHead. Today I wanted to talk about how to make the most out of the different phases of your menstrual cycle. Way back in the early days of FemmeHead, I made 4 different videos about each of these phases. I'll put those down below. They're from a while ago, so I wanted to come on here and kind of do a refreshed version of that and just kind of share it for maybe those of you that haven't seen those videos. It can sound a little like frou-frou to some people, but I promise if you take the time to listen to your body and to try to give it what it needs, you're going to be rewarded in one way or another. So let's start off with the beginning of our cycle, the menstrual phase. This is your period. I'm pretty sick of seeing people just talking so negatively about their periods and their menstrual cycles. It's like they believe that their period is something outside of themselves, something separate from themselves that is going out of its way to make their lives miserable. And it's not. Like, our periods are a part of ourselves. Our menstrual cycles are a part of, like, it is us. And it's kind of saying, like, this part of me is like out to ruin my life. And it's not. Our periods are not out to get us. Pain and PMS are not what your period are supposed to be about. And if you're experiencing unbearable pain or something doesn't feel right, that means something isn't right. Along with me being tired of the negativity surrounding periods, I'm also tired of people having this expectation on themselves of being like on point at all times, of being like our best selves 24/7. That is impossible. We can't be these sparky, energetic, optimistic, like go, 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 kill it at work, kill it at the gym, kill it at home all the time. Like, that is not our natural state of being. Like, that is impossible for anyone. We have this unrealistic expectation of ourselves, and there is a time and a place for this in our cycle when we are at our best self, but your period is not the time for this. And we have to let go of this belief that we are going to be superwoman at every point in our cycle. It's not gonna happen. Your period is actually the time in life where, surprise, you should be taking a step back and relaxing and just taking the time for reflection, for me time, and looking at what didn't go so well in the past cycle or the past month, and what can you do, what can you plan for this coming cycle to not make that same mistake again or to improve on something. Your period is a great time for focusing on the me. Make sure you're making some time each day, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, to do something that is within the realm of self-care. One thing that is personally very important during my period is making sure I'm getting enough sleep. I just require more sleep in my period, even if it's just going to bed half an hour early or sleeping in half an hour, taking a nap during the day. I benefit so much from allowing myself to do that. And it's not blowing off all of your responsibilities. You can still do everything you need to do. Put the focus on yourself for once in your life. Take a warm bath, drink a glass of wine, put on a face mask, read a good book, just whatever your favorite self-care techniques are and whatever you find you benefit most from, make time for that. It is so important, and it's not just important for your period, but like your overall well-being is just taking the time to pamper yourself and to like give yourself some care and love, and your period is the time to do that. If you put forth the effort in your period, and it is a hard adjustment to like letting go of that guilt and allowing yourself to slow down, you will see the effect of that play out in the following phases of your cycle, which we're going to get into now. Next after your period ends is your follicular phase, and this goes from the end of your period to a few days before you ovulate. If you've taken the time to slow down on your period, you're probably going to notice a burst in energy and happiness and motivation following your period. And for me, that burst hits sometime in the last few days of my period. I only have 2 or 3 days of my period where I'm like, I just need to zen out. And then after that, I get that burst of energy and I can take off running again. This is such a fantastic, delicious sensation to get your chutzpah back after, taking a break from it, especially if you have been struggling with allowing yourself to slow down during your period. The first time this happens and you recognize that it has happened because you've allowed yourself to slow down, it's just fantastic. I love the follicular phase. It is the most empowering, the most productive, and the most rewarding phase for a lot of people. It's the time when we can get the most done. And this is really necessary for us, right? Coming out of our periods and coming out of not really being able to do what we wanted to do, but more of what we have been listening to our bodies and allowing ourselves to do. But the trick here is that you have to allow yourself your period to just slow down to get the full effect of the magic that happens in your follicular phase. Get out of your comfort zone, try new things, and just get after it after your period has ended. We can find that we're very focused on our goals and our needs during this phase. We just get so jazzed about everything that we're doing and getting done, and we're just very excited about it all, that we can be a bit lacking in the compassion and patience department of things. And you might find yourself feeling a little bit guilty about this because we struggle putting ourselves before others. But I challenge you to own this phase. Enjoy putting yourself and your needs first. And it is just for a couple of days. After this bomb phase, you're going to move into your ovulatory phase. While ovulation is just like a small point in our entire menstrual cycle, when the egg is released from the follicle and all that magic happens, the ovulatory phase is kind of the few days before and the few days after this actual event. While our follicular phase can be our favorite because of how productive we are, our ovulatory phase is often how we wish we felt at all times in our cycle. We're happy, creative, expressive, confident, loving, giving, all of the qualities we feel we should have at all points in our life. This is the time to be social. This is the time to reach out and connect with others. I like to think of it as like our networking phase because we are the best at not only like connecting to others, but putting what we believe and what we want into words and really selling ourselves and selling projects that we're working on. And because of this is a great time to do things like have an interview, have a meeting, or work through something with a loved one that's kind of been building up, because this is the time that you're going to be able to completely express in words what you're feeling and all that jazz. And finally, we're going to end it all with our luteal phase. This is the time from a few days after we ovulate until we start that next period. And while it might not be our most favorite phase, this is the one that can often have the most impact on us, how we feel about what we're doing and where we're going in life, and just things like that. You're going to notice a gradual decline in energy as you get closer to your period, and this can be a struggle coming off of those really two awesome phases. This is the point in your cycle when you can start feeling frustrated, tense, sensitive, and emotional. But this isn't a bad thing. Like, feeling emotional is made to be such a negative of being female. Everyone has emotions, guys and girls alike, and there's nothing wrong with being emotional. It's the perfect time to pull out your journal and dig in, look at what happened this past month, what went well, what didn't go well. This is going to be the point at which stuff starts to bubble to the surface, but it's also just a great time to work through things. It's great to recognize and acknowledge the emotional baggage that you've been dragging with you or carrying with you throughout that cycle, and to address it and then be able to release it so you can move into your next cycle kind of fresh, like a fresh start. You can ask yourself questions like, what am I missing in life? What do I want out of life? And how can I get these things? Like, what is the plan to get me there? Our lives can be very stressful, and we've all created coping mechanisms to avoid that stress, but this isn't necessarily the most healthy approach. It's a good way to make it through your day, but at one point or another, you're going to have to address those things that are stressing you out, and this is a great time to do that. I find that just being aware of the different phases and just knowing that I'm going to feel different at different points of my cycle, and that's not a negative thing. There are positives that come out of each, even though some were more of the favorites than others. Just being aware of this has done so much to change my perspective on my period, on my cycle, on my body, and my life as a whole. And I know that seems like you can't put all that on just knowing about your cycle, but I promise it has had such a big impact. So now I'm curious, how do you practice an intuitive cycle? How do you acknowledge where you're at and what your body needs or what your mind needs? Or has this been an area that you've kind of struggled with in the past or currently? Thank you so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to FemmeHead, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!